Hi everyone, welcome to the 68th episode of the Zicast. As always, I'm your host Ryan Ziax. Today I'm joined by Advertiser Emily Adorno.
Hello, thank you for having me.
I'd like to shout out episode 36 guest Joe Flynn for technical directing. It's a shame you can't see him because he has his dapper suit on. Sheesh, but I'd like to thank him for helping out. So Emily, I think you know what I do here. I interview people, get to know them better.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear your story. So how about you tell us a bit about yourself?
So right off the bat, I guess I will say I am a second year student at Quinnipiac University. I am in the advertising and integrated communications major here. So I have a lot of interest in that, but I also have a double minor in film and media studies because I kind of just like the overall of communications. I want a total scope, a total understanding of all of that. And film has always been kind of something that I found myself absolutely loving as well. And then I'm originally from upstate New York. So I guess I kind of just, I grew up in an area that's kind of bustling with film and like shows and media kind of being produced in it. People are kind of drawn to my area in the Hudson Valley. So I guess that kind of has been a big influence as well, just seeing how, a small production can really turn into something huge. Like my town had a little part in the Pretty Little Liars reboot recently. So that was kind of cool. And I actually got to work on that a little bit. Yeah. So that was awesome.
Wow, that's a great first thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Mind telling us a bit about that experience?
Yeah. So I got to work kind of as a PA on that. So production assistant. I was able to just kind of hang out, and it was like literally 2 days, and I just helped them set up stuff actually in my high school gym.
Really?
They used our gym to kind of set up a scene of like a little dance event kind of thing. So I blew up balloons for like 2 hours, and that was like but it was cool because I got to see kind of the camera stuff that went on there and things like that. And of course, kind of a production like that, there's a little bit of a name behind it because Pretty Little Liars, the show, had kind of done well. And then since it was a reboot, there was a little bit of, buzz and attention around that. So that was cool.
Awesome. And that was got you on set, so got you learning more about film. Did that influence you at all?
Absolutely. My biggest influence for film really has to be tied back to my high school. We had an incredible film kind of couple of classes that we had offered to us that were just computer kind of video production. And, I didn't really know what to expect going into it. I kind of thought, I'm like, okay, well, I've edited my little fake YouTube videos on iMovie with my friends. So let me take this class and just see what it's like. And that's really what got me into loving kind of this storytelling aspect of communications. But I would say that without those classes, I wouldn't have had any interest in doing the production assistant role with that at the time. So that's definitely my biggest inspiration. But I would say that really helped my experience there being a production assistant on that really helped me kind of hone in my determination and my kind of drive to know that this is the path that I want to take kind of going down the road.
Awesome. And you're interested in advertising as well. So if you don't mind telling us where that stems from.
The advertising side, I think, definitely comes a little bit more from my just kind of general passion for, creating engaging content. And I really found myself in high school kind of thinking that I wanted to go into some kind of business management. So I think that this was kind of just like the perfect connection of the two because it can be a little bit more businessy side when it comes to like strategy and building kind of a brand's identity and things like that. I've always liked that little bit of a challenge too to things. So I think that's kind of why I have more of an interest in pursuing my degree in advertising, because I wanted that strategic approach of how can I help a brand, how can I elevate a brand in certain ways and use the storytelling elements that I've learned kind of in film to help with that as well.
Yeah, there's a running joke that film students will study something like business so they can get a job after they graduate. But even beyond that, I mean, film is a business.
Yeah.
So, like, how has studying things like advertising, like marketing, how has that influenced the way you view film?
Oh, that's a great question. I feel like that's something that we talk about a lot in coursework here that I think is interesting. I'm even taking a class right now, media planning, which I think is kind of a big part of that. Like how advertisers, how they plan to get their product shown throughout, a television broadcast and things like that. When's the best time for that commercial to be played? When's the best time for things like that? And I think it definitely makes me notice more times when I'm watching film, and sometimes it takes away from the beauty of a film when I see it, like over-the-top product placement. And I'm like I can't. Somebody pointed it out to me, the Eggo waffles in Stranger Things, and it makes me sick when I go and watch Stranger Things, and I notice how many times there's little elements of it, or there's like clips that I've seen shown from professors, and they're like, this is literally 30 seconds of a show, and they're like, tell me how many brands you see. And I'm like, ew, like what? Like you did all like that? That's how many brands are in this? That's how many things are showing and stuff like that. So it kind of makes me like, I almost like dislike it, which is kind of funny, but I also think it's incredibly interesting, and I think it's funny how viewers kind of tune things like that out as you watch it, but then when you kind of are, forced to focus in on it, I guess it kind of makes you realize like how much things are really being pushed at you. But that of course interests me too, because I'm kind of thinking like, wow, like that's really cool how advertisers are able to do things like that and kind of get you to just notice it as everyday life and kind of not even think twice about it. Like, wow, this is being promoted to me right now.
Yeah, they kind of blend it in. It makes me think of like brand influencing. I don't know if you know, like Apple, like villains can't use Apple products in films or shows. Only heroes can. So it's interesting. Have you noticed like that, like the kind of like what you explained, like the kind of brand influencing, like kind of telepathically market to people?
I guess there's not a specific example that I can think of, but I definitely see that in some ways. I feel like if you see a certain person using like maybe they're eating something or they have a certain kind of brand of something, you'll notice kind of like it'll make sense with their character. It'll kind of align with their identity. And I think that's something that advertisers kind of have to do too, and know like, all right, like who's this character that's going to be using my product? If you're going to have product placement in your thing, who's this character? How is this going to actually relate back to them? Do we want to associate with that character? Like you said, a villain can't use an Apple product kind of thing. So I think that is interesting, and I think brands kind of do have to be aware of that if they want to push a certain kind of image of their product.
And it's also interesting because when you think of like blending entertainment and marketing, I think of like Super Bowl commercials, which is ironic because you're wearing a Philadelphia Eagles shirt, so just like who are just in the Super Bowl. So it's fascinating. Like, what's your experience watching Super Bowl commercials?
I think that Super Bowl commercials are they are my Super Bowl. I'm wearing my Eagles sweatshirt, whatever. I do care about football, but not not nearly that much. I actually got this sweatshirt out of a deal with my dad because I told him, or we made a deal, and I said, if the Eagles get to the Super Bowl, will you buy me an Eagles sweatshirt? And he was like, yeah, I guess so, because I have no Eagles merch. And he's a big Philly fan. So, but yeah, this year specifically, I sat down and I analyzed just the commercials, and I think sometimes I'm looking at them and I'm like, what am I watching? Like, this is awful. And you totally missed the mark, and you wasted all that money because you totally missed the mark. But then there's other times where I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, that was incredibly well done. Like, I'm a big SNL fan, old SNL, like those kind, like older. And they had the Volkswagen ad that they had done with a couple of old cast members, and they did a spoof on the Californians. And that is one of my favorite SNL, like, series little things they kept bringing back. I think Bill Hader's hilarious, so I think that probably just adds to it. But I saw that and I was like, this one got me. Like, this one's good. Like, it's kind of niche, but I think sometimes niche works in Super Bowl ads, and you kind of create a stronger connection with the people who get it. And I think it was Instacart this year as well had a collection of like a bunch of old Super Bowl ad elements that they kind of like took from, and they kind of made them all come together for the ad. And I think that was really, really well done. You know, if something worked once, why not try to play on it again, but make it more creative and make it something like that. So I think that was a really cool one. But overall, the experience of watching Super Bowl commercials, I'm dialed. That's when I'm paying attention. Everybody's like, oh, I can go on my phone now. I'm like, nope, my phone, I pick my phone up when they start playing.
I mean, that game was 40-6 at one point, so you needed to dial in on something. And it's also funny, that Californians commercial, I missed that during the Super Bowl, but then saw it during the Oscars.
Oh, so
it has some legs.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I did see it during the Oscars as well. Actually, that made me think about it again because it just caught my attention. And yeah, I texted my dad actually after I saw it when we were watching the Oscar, when my roommates and I were watching the Oscars, and I was like, yeah, second time seeing this, I think this might be my favorite one that I've seen.
You gave it your stamp of approval.
Yeah. Got my official mark.
Exactly. And speaking of giving your official mark, you were once an editor for the Chronicle, the newspaper here at Quinnipiac.
Yeah.
Do you mind telling us a bit about your experience with that?
Yeah. So the Chronicle, the student-run newspaper here, when I first came onto campus, I knew that I really wanted to kind of extend what I was learning in the classroom, and I knew that I wanted to broaden myself and my resume and my skills with some kind of student media organization on campus. And I kind of didn't know where my home was going to be, and I figured, you know, I really know that I like film stuff, so I'll probably just do Q30 TV, the television station here. And I went to a couple of meetings for that, and I was like, yeah, I don't really know that this is what I want to do. And then I spoke with the multimedia editor of the Chronicle at the time, and I was like, oh, I didn't even realize you guys had this. Like, I didn't even realize that was a thing. I'm thinking print newspaper. I'm thinking like, yeah, that's cool. Like, you still have a print issue, but what are you doing online? What's your social presence? What's this?
Extra, read all about it.
Exactly, literally. So I'm like, yeah, like, what can I do here with film? And I actually fell in love with it because they have a bit of a social presence, on Instagram, creating like video reels, packages, things like that. So my experience kind of grew from there. I took on a lot of roles, and I started hosting what we call Cron 60, which is our 60-second news recap kind of. So we give the top stories from each of our sections, and we kind of just give a little brief on it, get people excited for the print issue, and kind of encourage, readership and things like that. And that gets posted to our Instagram. So that was something that I kind of started out just hosting, and then I started, as I took on my first leadership role in the spring of last year, I joined as the associate multimedia editor, and I started working on slowly editing that, making some social posts, and then the digital managing editor that we had at the time graduated, so I stepped up into that role in the fall, and I've now been doing that for the past 2 semesters, and it's been incredibly rewarding for myself because I've learned so much, especially now being on the managing board for this. I'm a little bit higher up. I work with 3 other people, so our editor-in-chief, our managing editor, and our creative director, and we kind of help manage the team, make sure that everything gets done, and it's been awesome because I feel like I've learned a lot more leadership in that role as well, too.
Yeah, and in creating social media content, so kind of blending something very traditional like a newspaper with something very fresh, and I think this kind of leads well into what you're doing now, which is your work with the agency.
Yeah.
If you don't mind explaining what that is and kind of what that's teaching you.
Absolutely. So the agency is an interdisciplinary program here at Quinnipiac. So students from any major can apply into this. You earn credit for it, but you are working in it's our own little public relations agency. So students have the opportunity to work with real life clients in this setting. So we have a couple of different clients every semester. It's run pretty similarly. So they'll have about 4 clients, 1 client being the agency itself, 1 client being a nonprofit, 1 that's a little bit more for-profit kind of advertising side of things, and then 1 that is related to the school. And then we also have some kind of just general overseeing teams of social media, content, copy, video, photography, graphics, things like that. So last semester I decided to apply for this semester. I really was like, this is a great thing to add to my resume, and it's something that I'm going to learn a lot from, hopefully. And I can't even begin to express how within this short time, I mean, we're only 7 weeks or so into this semester, and how much I've learned, how much I feel like I've grown as a professional within the industry, in my understanding of communications, in my understanding of just kind of being a team player, collaborating, things like that. I have had the opportunity to be the co-account executive for the client that we have that's kind of for-profit. So they're called Good Sam Foods. They offer kind of a cleaner, sustainable, non-genetically modified snacks. And it's been really cool because not only am I learning about kind of that and understanding how to market in that kind of sphere of healthy, good for you kind of things like that, but I'm also still working with a team of people who really want to grow and get better. And I think that's kind of the difference with this and some even class projects, because in some ways, you can take a class and feel like, all right, we did a mock campaign for this brand, and we, no one's ever going to see it, but here's the work that we did, and it was cool, and it was whatever. Where this is real life, it's being used. The clients are using this, and it's also, you're in a group of people who genuinely want to be doing this. So it doesn't feel like a group project in the way where you have somebody who's slacking and doesn't want to be doing the work, and then somebody who's taking it all on. This is very collaborative, and it works best when everybody is working together. So I think that the team that we have and the group of people who are in the agency this semester alongside of me are very, very driven people as well. And they have made this experience better for me. I've learned so much from them. I'm learning so much in general. It's been really awesome.
Yeah, awesome. And take us through your day-to-day with the agency.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
So we have our scheduled class time is Mondays. And we have about 2.5 hours of kind of time where we'll go through and we will catch up on all of the clients. We'll see where all the clients are at. And that's because even though somebody may be the account executive for a specific section, one of our clients, or they might be the vice president of one of the specific teams that we have of, social media or whatever it may be. We all are still kind of doing something. We're all still kind of working with everybody. We're all still working with all the clients in a little bit of a way. So we all kind of sit down, we talk, and we have this big chart, and it just tells you, what have you done throughout the week kind of thing. So we're able to look at that, and it's organization purpose, but it's also really good in that time to hear, okay, how has that team been doing? Where are they struggling? Is the communication off between, us? Is the communication, maybe there's communication issues with the account executives and their client, things like that. So that's kind of a little bit of it. And then usually after we kind of get a good gist of where everybody else is at, we will go into kind of our own time where we're able to work. We're able to, get things done that we need for ourselves. So that may look like talking to the social media team and saying, hey, we have this idea for a couple of posts. Here's what we're thinking. How can we help you execute that plan and get some social media posts made? So they're making posts for us. They're working on things like that. For myself and the client that I have, we have done a lot of work for creating Pinterest boards and things like that to kind of have some inspiration on what might work. And then my co-account executive and I, we do a lot of kind of other research. So kind of figuring out where the brand is currently positioned and how, at what we can do and what goals are attainable for us in this semester long time to, be able to complete for them and to be able to help them and get more reach and more kind of awareness for the brand. So it's kind of a busy morning on Mondays, and then throughout the week, it's kind of just keeping up, making sure that any tasks that we've assigned to these different teams and things like that are getting done, and we're able to see that things are kind of being completed. And then, of course, checking base with our clients, checking base, making sure that we're able to kind of keep updating a little slideshow, because at the end of the semester we have a big presentation where we will present to clients, faculty, staff, things like that. So many people get invited to this big presentation that we have to kind of show off the work that we've done and to essentially be graded on what we've been able to do. So kind of keeping that on our radar as well.
Awesome. And kind of dealing with real world clients also brings real world problems, real world solutions. What have kind of any issues you've come across that you've had to solve?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, this brand is that I'm working with. They are incredible, and they really are. You know, their mission is so strong in wanting to be sustainable, in down to like generative farming and things like that. So, the CEO of the company is very hard to reach. She is all over the place. She goes to Mexico to travel to, you know, speak with farmers there and things like that for some of their products. So we really have not had a ton of communication with her. So that has been a huge challenge because we're essentially kind of just making everything we possibly can. We have posts set up for them. We have graphics set up for them. We have ideas that all planned out, a whole pitch, a whole campaign set up that we just kind of need their mark of approval on that we're waiting on. So that's kind of been a big issue. But it definitely has taught me, one, how to write a damn good email, because getting in contact and making sure that I can get every question out that I need to, and making sure that every question's gonna get answered within that email. And it's also just taught me kind of, you know, this is kind of the world that I'm heading into, and you know, these are gonna be the problems that I'm gonna face, but kind of taking it as it is and moving forward, and just knowing that I gotta keep doing my work, keep putting my focus into this, and kind of not letting anything else stop me or get in the way.
Because no pun intended, it's all about communication and life, and writing up those emails, because you want to be like assertive, but you also don't want to like sound rude, because it's writing too. Because sometimes it's like somebody might interpret something wrong that you write.
That's when I don't need to toot AI's horn, but sometimes I'll write something and I'll be like, that sounds really mean. Let me see if I can ask ChatGPT to help me say this a little bit nicer.
The niceness police.
Yes, exactly.
ChatGPT. And communication is a big part of your job. Communication is probably also a big part of your role as a student ambassador. So if you don't mind, explaining what you do for that, and kind of what that means to you.
So my role as a student ambassador, I decided this past fall that I wanted to get a job on campus. I was like, you know what, I need to make some extra money. And I had always seen tour guides out on campus last year. And I was like, that's such like I could totally do that. That's right in my wheelhouse. That's my personality. And I've only really ever had positive experiences here at Quinnipiac. So I was like, yeah, I could totally do that. So I decided to take on that role, and basically within that, I give campus tours, whether sometimes those are, academic focused, sometimes they're more student life focused, showing off the buildings that we have here, the residence halls, explaining kind of what life is like to prospective students coming on campus. And also being there for large-scale events like open houses that we have for prospective students. So that has been a cool experience because I've gotten really comfortable with public speaking in that way because I'm talking to a lot of people. But I also think that I've learned a lot about how to make a connection with somebody in that way. And I think that's something that's really going to help me within the field of communications, especially because, you're trying to make a connection with your audiences. But I think that that's been something that I've really learned, is how to trying to make sure that you're connecting with people who are coming on campus, who are interested possibly in coming to school here, and trying to, promote the school and promote the image that of what life can be like for you here, and kind of the opportunities that you have. And I think one of the biggest things that I try to do to make a connection with a lot of the tours that I take out and a lot of the tour groups that I speak to is try to just like get that message across, like look at college as, you know, an opportunity, as a time for you to branch out, as a time for you to absolutely find yourself, you know, really hone in on what you're passionate about and kind of live in the moment always and take in every experience that you get, because this time is flying. The fact that I'm already in the spring semester of my second year here is crazy. And I don't have much time left, only another year of my undergraduate. So that's kind of insane to me. So I feel like I definitely try to put that image out there, like take it all in.
Yeah, you're saying that to two seniors in their final semester or halfway through at the time of this recording, and really echoes that people skills are everything, especially since you're talking in these situations to prospective students and their parents who you're just meeting then, and you're trying to reach them and of course market and sell the school. So there's that overlap. And I'm always curious, when you're giving tours, do you have like a script, or do you just like know it in your head like muscle memory?
They do give us a script. Some people like get like, oh, I'm not doing that job, you have to memorize the script, you have to take a test. It's actually kind of fun. I don't know. I personally like it. We had to memorize kind of a little script about just some general facts about each location and like place that you have to hit on campus to show off. And so we have a script. Of course, you're more than welcome to make it your own and kind of build on it and add your own experiences. I think when I personally give a tour, I know like 3 facts about every place that I'm hitting, but I'm also trying to make sure that there's an element of experience within it, because I think that also helps kind of with that like connection base and kind of getting people to understand like, okay, yeah, like this is what someone would do in this scenario kind of thing like that. But yeah, it is a script, and you do have to take a test. You have to, someone comes with you and you walk around and they have a little clipboard and they're like, okay, you got the facts about this right? Sure, yep. Oh, that was a good story you added.
And it's like a driver's test.
Literally.
Personalizing things is always important too, like you said, to build connections. And you talk about giving facts about the school. Well, let's learn some facts about you, and how about you tell us some fun facts about yourself, or some things people don't know about you.
What is something that people don't know about me? I feel like I'm kind of like such an open book. Like people will kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I give a lot off on the on like the outside. But I guess a lot of people don't know that I've always been an avid reader. I love reading. I've been kind of on a mystery book kick recently. The winter's kind of for mystery. The summer I keep for like the romance books when I'm laying in the pool or whatever. So yeah, I'd say that's a big part of me. I don't know. What's something people don't know about me? What would you say? Let me flip the question.
So funnily enough, on that same topic, I've actually published 3 books on
No
Amazon.
way.
Yes.
No way.
Yeah, so if you search up my name, you'll be able to find them.
What are they about?
Oh, they're kind of like crime thriller. Well, 2 of them are like crime thrillers, and the other's like kind of like a drama.
That's awesome. Wow. So now I'm going to go buy your books.
I appreciate it. I'm an English major.
Yeah.
So when you said books, I'm like, ooh, like my ears perk up.
Yeah.
And that's not just from the ambient sounds of toilets flushing that you hear behind us. So what authors do you typically read?
I have a comfort in Suzanne Collins and the Hunger Games series. That is one that I'll always go back to. Of course, I had my time in elementary school with the Harry Potter books, but I don't think we're supposed to like J.K. Rowling. I think she's like crazy or something. I don't know. And then in high school, I had an English teacher my senior year who influenced me like crazy. He was one of the greatest teachers I've ever had. And we read The Great Gatsby in his class, and he really made me have an appreciation for that kind of literature and things like that, which is crazy because usually English classes in high school, I'm like, I'm not reading this book. But he had me read that whole book all the way through. So I don't know if that sparked anything in the English major in you. You're like, yeah, she likes The Great Gatsby.
Certainly spark notes, which I've never used, but
I don't know other authors that I don't necessarily have specific authors. I'm really down for anything. If someone has a recommendation for me, I am all about it. Also, just a good old TikTok suggestion of what books to read.
Book talk,
absolutely.
All right, yeah, and I respect you flipping the question on me because it is a low key annoying, but I think it's a good get to know you kind of thing, and to continue to get to know you, I'd like to ask you, what's one thing you love and one thing you strongly dislike?
Oh, one thing I love and one thing I strongly dislike. Wow, one thing I love is a night in. I love a night in. I love a night in with friends or my mom. My mom and I can enjoy a night in eating, oh God, what do they call them? What is the jokingly joke? Oh, poverty nachos. Have you ever heard someone call them that? The chips with the cheese and you just microwave it? And yeah, poverty nachos. My mom and I, that's a guilty pleasure. Absolutely love that. We love reality TV, like raunchy, horrible reality TV. So that is something that I absolutely love. Something that I hate, I guess on the opposite spectrum, I don't hate a night out. Something that I hate.
It give me a pet peeve as well.
Oh, pet peeve. Oh, my biggest pet peeve is when people are talking and like there's like if you're in a group setting and like something's on like the TV and there's like maybe two people watching the TV and then there's other people having a side conversation and the people who are watching the TV are distracted by the side conversation, so they turn the TV volume up, and then the side conversation gets louder because the TV's getting louder, and then it just keeps getting louder, and I'm just like somehow always the person in the middle, like, oh, I'm overstimulated. I hate this situation. I don't want to be here.
They're kind of like upping the stakes on both sides. And what kind of reality TV are you watching? I know you mentioned raunchy.
Anything that Netflix puts out, like the awful Too Hot to Handles or whatever, things like that. I don't even know. I do enjoy Love is Blind on Netflix as well. But I also love a good like throwback reality TV show, like throw on like the Jersey Shore. That's so awful. But throw on an episode of that and I'm gonna be sitting in front of the TV. That's
exactly where my mind went when you mentioned reality TV.
Yes. I take trips to the Jersey Shore frequently, and then I've been to the Shore House. So that's fun because then I'm like I'll go in the house and I'll be like, oh my God, like wow, like this is where that happened. Oh my God, I know where I'm right here. Snooky.
Yeah, and if you keep paying, maybe you could find yourself on a
set
someday.
Yeah. Funny enough, I was in Jersey one time, and we were like coming home that day, and somebody was like, "Oh my God, Snooki's at the Shore House today," and I was like, "You're joking? We just missed her. We just missed Snooki. We just missed Snooki." Yeah. Worst. It was the worst realization of my life. I was like, oh my God. I kind of had the opportunity, but I didn't. So
nothing can compare. What would you say to Snooki if you met her?
I have no idea. I think I'd just be like dumbfounded. I really don't know that I really don't know that I could have anything to possibly say to her.
Yeah. It's like she's real.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, that's the one thing with like celebrities. I always wonder, like, what would I say to them if I actually met them?
Yeah. Yeah. I had a celebrity run in once, and I didn't say anything. I couldn't. I was just amazed, and I was like,
yeah. Sometimes you're just like a deer in the headlights.
yeah,
they're real.
Yeah, and it was at a Target. It was so weird. It was Amanda Seyfried.
Really?
Yeah.
At a Target?
At Target in my hometown.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So weird. Upstate New York. Who cares? She has a house in upstate New York.
Huh.
But I was in Target, and I saw her, and I was like, Mom, do you know who that is? And she was like, no. And I'm like, that's Amanda Seyfried. And she's like, who? I was like, she's a Mamma Mia. I was like, she's in Mean Girls. And I started naming all these things, and she's like, I have no idea who that is. And the man at the register, she was literally in line in front of me, and I was whispering to my mom, Mom, do you know who that is? But the man at the register was like, did you recognize her? And I was like, yeah, I did. And he was like, I could tell. And he was like, why didn't you say anything to her? And I was like, I didn't want to bombard her. But yeah, I also feel like I was like, what the heck am I going to say to her? She's too cool. But then, funny enough, years later, my sister actually met her. She brought her animal into the veterinary hospital that my sister works at. So my sister met Amanda Seyfried and actually got to talk to her.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, you lived out my dream. She stole it.
How was Amanda? How was she when your sister met her?
She was pleasant. She was so nice. My sister said she's the most down-to-earth person. Literally, she was like, if you didn't know that she was a celebrity, you would have no idea. She's so chill.
So I take it your mom has never seen Ted 2?
No. No. My mom doesn't. My dad is really I will say the comedy that comes in my family comes from my dad. I have twin brother and sister. They're 7 years older than me. So I learned a lot from them, but they learned it all from my dad. And my mom finds nothing that any of us find funny. She's the kind of person who laughs at Facebook Reels. So we don't share comedy.
Yeah, humor's funny like that. I'm sure she wouldn't like the brain rot that comes across my feed.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
You hope to meet her someday, and kind of staying on that, I like to ask you, what are your hopes and dreams professionally or in general?
Oh, I love to talk about this because I'm very driven. I have a lot of hopes and dreams. I really do hope to have, to just find success. And I think success can be kind of a broad thing. But, as long as I'm happy wherever I am, I feel like I'm going to feel some success out of that. But professionally, I really hope to one day have my own company. Of course, I'm sure that I'll end up working in some corporate position to get a lot of experience starting out. But I would love to have my own kind of advertising, marketing agency. I think that would be really, really fun. And I've always had a secret little dream. My mom loves baking. So I really want her to have her own little cookie company. So we always joke, and I'm like, oh, don't worry, one day, you're gonna have your little cookie. Yeah. I want to be rich enough that I can help her open up a little cookie company. And I was like, don't worry, I'll do the marketing for it. We'll brand the hell out of this place.
Adorno's.
Yeah.
That kind of sounds like a pizza place.
Yeah, it does.
But it does have a ring to it. Adorno's, yes. But, that would be the perfect combo.
She makes good pizza, too. I guess she can do pizza.
Or a cookie baking show. Reality TV.
Baking. That's a good one.
See?
Yeah. All right, I like it.
It's all coming together.
It is.
And talking about shows, I'd like to move on to movies and ask you, what are some of your favorite movies?
My absolute favorite movie of all times is 10 Things I Hate About You. It's just a classic. I always go back to that movie. I can quote absolutely every single minute of it. I love Heath Ledger. Love Heath Ledger. And I am also just love a rom-com. Definitely a comfort genre for me. But if I'm speaking more film bro, I watched Catch Me If You Can and just fell in love with that movie. And I'm not even somebody who's the biggest Leonardo fan or anything like that, but I absolutely love that movie. I think that movies based on true stories always kind of have an extra element of appeal for me. And I think that that's another favorite of mine for sure.
Yeah. It's also just Catch Me If You Can. So crazy that actually happened. I know a lot of it's exaggerated, but...
Yeah, it's insane that happened and that he got away with it for so long, kind of, too. Yeah. But, yeah.
Yeah, and overall, I hope people catch this episode, Emily, because it was really fun, and I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I had so much fun. This is my first podcast experience, so it was awesome. You were a great interviewer.
Thank you. I hope you had a great time. And if you have any motivational words or plugs you'd like to give the audience, or anything you'd like to leave the audience with.
I don't know if I have. I'm not too motivational. I'm not also the most religious, but Lent did start today that we're recording this episode, and I said that I was giving up talking bad about people and I was going to be a positive person during Lent. So maybe that's my motivation, to spread positivity.
And not talk junk on
not
the
talk
Zicast.
junk on not talk junk, no. Only speaking up. Only yeah.
So Emily, tell me 10 things you hate about
No, I can't.
Exactly, yeah. And thank you, of course, thank you so much for coming on. It was very inspiring to hear all about what you're doing, especially in fields that I'm very interested in.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people who are viewing this are.
Yeah.
And I wish you the best in all the things you do, and I'm excited to see more of your work.
Thank you so much. I wish you the best as being a senior so close to the end.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I am a little jealous. I'm talking about how I don't want it to I'm talking about how I don't want it to end, but I'm ready to be done.
Yeah, there's always that juxtaposition.
Yes.
But very exciting times.
Yeah.
Both of us. And as always, this is Ryan Zicast with the Zicast, where everyone has a story. Signing off. Thank you so much for watching.